Medicine Hat versus Calgary home prices, and how does something that's sold in Calgary compare to the exact same house that's sold in Medicine Hat? What's up, guys? It's Ryan with eXp Realty serving this beautiful community of Medicine Hat, and I love doing these videos, especially when I know the properties really well. There was a property that just sold in Calgary that's a good friend of mine's, and I was in that property numerous times. I know the neighborhood really well, and if I'm being completely honest, if I'm outside of this guy's house, I think I'm in Crescent Heights. And so I think it's very reasonable to do one of these episodes on what does something like that sell for in Calgary versus what does something like that sell for in Medicine Hat, and where is the value difference. Now, first thing we need to look at in Calgary is what it sold for and what is called the specs of the home. This property sold for $515 right away, full asking price in only 3 days. 900 square foot, 3-bed, 2-bath bungalow built in 1956. If you look at this picture, it looks very, very similar to something that would be in Crescent Heights. Big lots, older mid-century bungalows, good solid properties, well-built homes. You can see original hardwood. They had this place virtually staged. Looks great, been well maintained, nice and clean. This is how you want to present when you go to sell. Nothing in the property. This was vacant, some upgrades in the kitchen, good backsplash. You can tell that this is a very, very standard layout for a bungalow of this era. Part of the basement's unfinished, but it does have a bedroom and a bathroom that's been recently put in as well. Backyard's nice and big, just like you would see here in Crescent Heights, and also a single detached smaller garage. It was in a little bit rougher shape, but you can see how this is very much a comparable property to that of a home in Crescent Heights. So now what we do is we plug and play those specific specs into my system to see what those type of properties are selling for. And I want to start off with this one over on Hilton Crescent. Sold for $299.9, so call it 300 grand. Slightly bigger than the one in Calgary, slightly newer, but it's 3 beds, 2 baths. I like this because it's very similar inside in terms of moderate upgrades, nothing crazy, hasn't been expanded or opened up, but the kitchen has had some nice work done into it, and it's a very, very well-maintained home, just like that one in Calgary. Now, the property right here on Hilton, fully finished basement, but it doesn't have a single detached garage, so that could be a wash value-wise, but very, very similar property. Now, I'm not going to take you through a bunch more. You'll get the story here pretty quick. Another one on Black Boulevard, similar size to the one, 4 beds, 2 baths, similar era, $299.9. $283.5 for this one on 14th Street. Smaller, similar era. This one here on Mackenzie Crescent, a little bit cheaper, $269. There's even one currently listed right now for $265. Still, I would think that all things being equal, the one in Calgary is nicer than these last few. But let's call it what it is. These properties are selling for approximately $200,000 more in Calgary. And that is one of the biggest reasons why I think the Medicine Hat market is a bit isolated in terms of the ebbs and flows from bigger centers. And that's why, if you've watched this till now, that's why you cannot listen to national news or from bigger centers. Any news source derived from Vancouver or Toronto talking about the Toronto housing market. You can't think, oh, that's going on in Toronto, that's what's happening in Medicine Hat. That's not the case. Markets are isolated. Medicine Hat has notoriously been isolated that way to where, yeah, values are always going to go up and down, but we're not going to have the big 20% increases, the big 40% decreases. It's not a roller coaster. And in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons why is because still resale, real estate, meaning properties that are already built, being sold on the market, are still substantially cheaper than what you can build properties for. And if you drive 2.5 hours up the number 1 highway, that same property is over $200,000 more money. Now, you can't just take that $200,000 gap and apply it to each and every property. If you have a 2-story in Southridge and a 2-story in a nice spot in Calgary, that differential may be more, maybe less. But hopefully this gives you some context. If you do live in Crescent Heights, if you do live in Crestwood Norwood, if you do live in Redcliffe and you have a 1960s built bi-level or bungalow, that's probably what it would sell for in Calgary, which is crazy to me. And if I'm being honest, the Calgary market has even adjusted down in the last few months as well. So number would have been higher 6, 8, 10 months ago. So I love doing these. It's really good when I know a property in Calgary. There's a lot of nuance with neighborhoods, so I want to be careful that I'm comparing apples to apples. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, I'm always here to answer them. Reach out 403-548-0813. Take care.